You've probably heard it many times that animal senses are way stronger than humans. Because of that, they can even detect supernatural powers. And you've seen it on the streets many times, dogs suddenly starting to bark even when no one is standing in front of them. Still they're barking. That means maybe they're seeing some evil entity or invisible thing that the human eye absolutely can't see. Our movie today is based on this very concept, and this movie is shown entirely from Dog's perspective, how he senses the ghost and tries to save his owner. But whether he succeeds in saving him or not, you'll find out at the end. So, make sure to watch this video till the very end. The film starts by showing a dog named Indy, who is in the apartment with his owner. Even though he's inside, he hears some sound from outside the window. When he looks there, he realizes that someone is present outside. At that moment, Todd gets a call from his sister Vera from the warehouse, and suddenly blood starts coming out of Todd's mouth. Indy gets shocked seeing this and wonders what he should do. A little while later, Vera arrives there, and seeing her brother's condition, she gets shocked too. She immediately takes Todd to the hospital and gets him admitted. After that, we're shown that Indy has been with Todd since childhood. But Todd used to love him a lot. When Todd fully recovers, he decides to go to his grandpa's house. That's why he takes Indy along with him too. When he reaches there, he sees that the road is closed. When Todd is in the car, he hears some sound from behind the car, and when he looks there, he senses that maybe some entity is there. Todd opens the gate and goes inside, picks up Vera's call, and tells her that he's heading to Grandpa's house. She tells him that she knows Grandpa's house is haunted. Grandpa's death had happened suddenly, after which they had decided not to go there. But Todd tells her not to worry at all, nothing like that will happen there. Todd sees a shadow entity behind the car in the mirror, which scares him a lot. But the entity isn't visible to Todd at all. After that, Todd starts the car and heads to his grandpa's house. When he reaches there, he starts opening the door with the key. He hears some sound coming from inside the cellar, which only he can hear. When the door opens, Indy goes inside. There, he senses that he's not alone in this house. Todd goes into the living room and tells Indy to stay there. But when Indy goes into the storeroom, he feels something fishy there. After that, he goes to the basement where Todd is trying to fix the light. When the light comes on there, he turns on the TV and starts watching his grandpa's tips. In this, his grandpa is telling something about that house. Indy also sees a dog in that video, which was Todd's grandpa's dog. Todd is talking to his sister, where Vera tells him that he shouldn't have gone there because that house is haunted, and something bad could happen to him. But he tells her not to worry, nothing will happen to him. Suddenly, Indy hears the sound of the door opening. But when he looks toward the door, he sees a shadow, and seeing it, he understands that there must be some spirit living here for sure. But this speechless animal can't tell his owner about this. To check, he goes near that door and he hears some sound from below, so he goes down. Here he comes near the gate and looks outside, but he doesn't see anyone. Then Indy goes up and reaches a room, and from the window there he looks outside too, but he doesn't see anyone. But when he turns back, he sees someone sitting in the corner of the attic. Seeing this, he gets shocked, but then Todd arrives there with a lantern and asks him what exactly he's doing here. So he immediately takes him with him and goes to sleep. Now the next day, Todd takes Indy for a walk, where he reaches the family graveyard. He tells him that this is his family graveyard, and this is where his parents and everyone is buried, and he's come here to pay tribute to his grandpa. But then behind Indy we see a black figure. So slowly it comes behind Indy, and Todd also sees it and gets shocked. But actually it wasn't a ghost, it was a human who lives in Todd's neighborhood. Seeing Todd, that man gets very happy and tells him that when he was little he used to come here often. But after his grandpa's death, after so many years, he's come here now. So he also tells him that if he needs anything he can call him. After that, both of them start talking about his grandpa's death, and Indy goes inside the bark of a broken tree. Here, some spirit haunts him, so he comes out. After that man leaves, Todd sits with Indy and tells him that they need to get a generator from that man, so that he can bring the light back to his house because the lights in their house often go out. Now he takes Indy to that man's house, where he keeps a small generator with him, and after that he reaches home with the generator where the rain starts. And he turns on the generator. Then Indy hears some sound from the jungle and he sees someone standing far away. Seeing it, he gets scared, but he couldn't say anything. Todd also sees that he's looking toward the jungle, so he tells him there's no need to be scared. No one else is present here besides them. He turns off the lights and takes him inside, where both sit and start watching a movie. When it's quite late at night, both fall asleep there. Indy has a dream where he goes to the basement, and in that basement that entity attacks him, which wakes him up and breaks his dream. After that, Indy looks at Todd's grandpa and his dog's photos there, and when Todd wakes up, he hugs Indy and loves him a lot. Meanwhile, there are many scratch marks on the basement door. Like we come to know that someone was locked there who wanted to get out. Indy always felt fishy in the basement, so he goes there and starts barking near it. Getting ready, Todd immediately barks at Indy and goes out alone, locks the door, and as soon as he leaves, Indy starts crying there because he didn't want to stay alone in that house at all. He immediately goes to the window and stays at that window till night because he was waiting for his owner to come. Then he senses someone's presence there, and when he turns back to look, he sees Todd's grandpa's dog's spirit because it starts taking him to one place. When Indy follows it, it takes him to the upper room. Here, under a cover, there was his cloth kept. But when he touches that dog's cloth, he gets a vision of what actually happened there. In that vision, he sees that Todd's grandpa had gone to the basement, and his dog was waiting outside to come out. But suddenly his blood came out, and seeing the vision he gets scared and comes out from under the cupboard. Suddenly, Indy hears the sound of someone coming on the stairs, and he thinks maybe it's that spirit, so he immediately goes down and hides. But he sees it's not a spirit but Todd, who has come back tired, and his illness is now emerging even more. He goes near Todd, but Todd tells him that he's tired, so don't come near him. And when Indy sees the bandage tied on Todd's hand, he understands that Todd has come after his therapy. That's why he doesn't disturb him and goes under the bed to sleep. Now Indy sees another dream where he finds himself in his family graveyard, and in that graveyard, he sees the same shadow entity there. Seeing it, he gets scared and suddenly his eyes open, but he sees that there are mud marks inside his house. He follows those marks and he hears sound from below, and when he reaches below, he sees Todd there, who is banging his head hard on the basement door. Seeing this, he gets shocked. And he understands that surely that entity has possessed him, so he immediately pulls him, the rope breaks, and seeing himself in this state, he gets shocked. Now the next morning when Todd wakes up, he feels very disappointed. But he tells Indy that he thinks he shouldn't have come here because whatever took his grandpa's life, the same illness has happened to him. And his death is going to happen very soon. After that, he comes down with Indy and talks to his sister, and his sister tells him that he should quickly vacate that house. But he doesn't tell his sister the truth and tells her that he's absolutely fine, there's no need for her to worry. Meanwhile, Indy hears some sound from the storeroom again. When he goes there, he sees Todd's grandpa's sofa. But then he gets a vision of Todd's grandpa where he sees that on this sofa, his grandpa was lying sick, and the same kind of blood was coming from his mouth as from Todd's mouth. Then a spirit came from the basement, which grabbed his grandpa from behind, and it also grabbed his grandpa's dog. Then seeing the vision, Indy gets scared and pees right there. But seeing this vision, he understood that the dog spirit present here is showing him these visions so that he knows that just as Todd's grandpa was killed here, that entity will kill Todd too. Then that spirit rises from behind Indy and grabs him. A little while later, Todd is looking for Indy but doesn't find him anywhere, and when he reaches the storeroom, he sees Indy there, who was very scared and covered in mud. Seeing Indy in this state, Todd gets shocked and he immediately takes him to the bathroom and bathes him there. But then suddenly, a lot of blood starts coming from Todd's mouth again. Then Indy understands that his condition is very bad. After that, he goes to meet the doctor with Indy, where the doctor tells him that his condition has become very critical, and treating his illness is also very difficult. Indy gets down from Todd's lap there and reacts strangely, seeing him, as if he is no longer his owner. That entity was visible on his face because he knew that entity had possessed him. After meeting the doctor, Todd goes to the field where he digs and wants to pick some vegetables. Then his neighbor comes there and asks him what exactly he's doing. He says that he's come here to collect vegetables. His neighbor tells him not to go further at all because there are some fox traps ahead in which he could get stuck, and maybe his dog could get stuck too. So he shouldn't go ahead at all. Now, obeying his words, he comes back home, where in the candle's shadow, Indy sees that spirit. Indy doesn't understand what that spirit wants exactly. Indy could see that spirit but Todd couldn't see it. But he tries to tell Todd that someone is there, but Todd doesn't listen to him and tells him to go sleep. And at night, when Todd is sleeping, Indy hears the sound of the gate opening and keeps looking there, because of which he can't sleep. So Todd picks him up and puts him on the ground and tells him to sleep down there. Even so, Indy doesn't sleep and keeps looking toward that gate. Then Indy sees someone going from there, and that's why he follows behind to see who exactly is there? When he reaches below, he finds the basement door open. And when he goes inside it, he sees Todd under the stairs who is lying on the ground. But suddenly Todd comes running in the same way, because of which Indy gets very scared. Indy's sleep breaks because he was seeing this as a dream. Then someone pulls Indy under the bed, and it's Todd because he hugs him and sleeps there. But Indy sees that shadow entity near the window. Like he understands that it has come here to take Todd. Then that shadow entity strokes her hand on Indy, because of which Indy gets very scared and becomes uncontrollable. Seeing this, Todd asks him what's wrong with him. Because of this fear, he even bites Todd's finger. It hurts Todd a lot, and blood starts coming from his finger, but he loves Indy, that's why he doesn't say anything to him. Then Indy sees that shadow entity which is making all this happen. That shadow entity suddenly possesses Todd, seeing which Indy goes to save Todd, but suddenly the door closes. And Indy gets locked in the room. He starts barking loudly. Indy had understood that that entity wouldn't leave his owner at all, and he sees the window open in that room. So he jumps out the window and starts going to his neighbor to ask for help. But when he's running in the jungle, he understands that that entity is chasing him. He starts running hard. But suddenly his collar gets stuck in a branch, because of which he can't run further, and on that side the entity comes there which grabs him and takes him with it, and that shadow entity comes there which grabs him and makes him unconscious. When Indy's eyes open, he sees Todd in front of him who has tied him outside the doghouse. And he tells him that now he'll stay here. After that, he turns on the generator and goes inside. But Indy knew that his life was in great danger. Suddenly the rain starts there. Indy sees that entity on the window which is staring at him. Indy starts worrying about his owner and wants to go inside somehow to save his owner. Then suddenly he hears some sound from inside the jungle, and when he looks back he sees a fox there, but right in front of it, we see that entity because it had come to take him there. Meanwhile, inside the house, Todd vomits a lot and his condition becomes very bad, and Indy is worrying a lot about him. Scared of the entity, Indy goes into the doghouse. But when he's there, he feels that maybe the entity has left, but then the entity's hand comes from inside the ground and wants to grab him. But Indy immediately comes out of the doghouse, and the entity grabs his chain and starts pulling him toward itself. But Indy was very strong and didn't want to give up so quickly. So he runs and knocks down the doghouse, because of which his chain breaks and he gets free. He immediately runs toward the jungle so that he can ask for help from the neighbor. But he feels that he shouldn't leave Todd alone, so he comes back to save him. He sees the cellar door open there. And when he goes down the stairs, he sees a dog's skeleton there on which the same red cloth was that he used to see in visions. Meaning, friends, this skeleton was Todd's grandpa's dog skeleton because he was killed in this very basement. Now from the basement path, Indy immediately comes up and sits near Todd. And he asks him how exactly he came inside. Todd wants to say that he should immediately leave the house, but suddenly that entity passes near them, and this time Todd also notices the entity and gets shocked seeing it. Then Todd sees himself dead on the bed, and he understands that actually his death happened just a few hours ago. But he's a spirit, that's why he can see the other entity. The entity comes behind him and grabs him and starts taking him with it, and Indy immediately goes to the basement to save him. But that entity is very strong because it turns Todd black like itself there, because of which his body becomes completely black. Before leaving, Todd meets Indy and tells him not to help him at all because this entity will take him from here no matter what, and he can't save his life even if he wants to. Okay, he immediately transforms into a spirit, and after that, the entity takes his spirit to its cave. There he's left alone, and seeing his owner go, he feels very bad. And when he wants to get out from there, all the doors were closed. But it was good because the next morning Vera arrives there, who takes Indy out from there and gets very happy meeting him, but she sees that her brother is dead on the bed. She immediately takes Indy and starts going home, and with this, the movie ends here. So friends, this was the story of this film, where according to me 2 theories come out. The first theory says that the house was really haunted. That's why Todd's grandpa and Todd died at the same place, and that spirit had killed those people, and both their dogs were trying to save them. But the grandpa's dog got locked inside, because of which he died there and became a skeleton. Pregnant Indy. Wait, Indy's luck was good that Vera came there and saved him, otherwise he would have died there hungry and thirsty too. And the second theory, which seems quite logical to me. According to me, the entity shown in this film is none other than like Yamraj. Meaning it's an entity that's been told to bring souls to its world. In this way Yamraj works to take souls. Similarly, the entity too does the work of taking souls from there. And friends, that entity couldn't be seen by any human at all. In fact, Todd saw it only when his death happened, and Todd's death wasn't because of any spirit but because of his illness. And that illness was running in his family generation after generation. First, his father died from the same illness and his grandpa also died from the same illness. Todd too died because of that same illness. That's why Todd's sister always worried about him and called him every day. But Todd, who had little life left, didn't listen to his sister's words at all, that the illness had become so serious that he died. And to take his soul, that entity had come there. And friends, when Todd's death happened, only then could he see that entity. Before that he couldn't see it. Indy, who was the dog, could see it, and Indy couldn't tell about this because he was a speechless animal. This thing is also shown in the film's starting. When Indy was looking toward the window, he knew someone was present there. Meaning that entity was present in Todd's house too, that's why he was going to die, and the entity knew he was going to die and would take his soul there. But when he went to his grandpa's house, it followed him there too. Can you see? So ultimately, it had to take his soul to its world, but according to me this second theory is a bit logical too. Otherwise, which of these two theories seems a bit right to you? Make sure to tell us in the comments section, but if you have a third theory in your mind, tell that too. So friends, this was the story of Good Boy. How did you like that story? Make sure to tell us and don't forget to like the video and hype it up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. And friends, don't forget to like, comment and share the video.